What's happening, YouTubers? It's your boy CB, and we are back for my favorite segment on the channel, Huddle Watch Alongs with Recruits. On today's episode, I have a treat for all you guys that love offense. Also, for you guys that like a bit of a trench bully, I've got four-star tight end in the 2025 class, Marshall Pritchett, easily one of the fastest rising recruits in the class, one of the most versatile tight ends in the class, can split them out, can play in line, jumbo receiver, and just an overall matchup nightmare. But you don't want to hear me tell it. You want to hear him tell it. Fresh off a couple of visits, as well as some visits to Miami, Georgia, Georgia Tech, and some others that we'll get into. Without further ado, four-star tight end in the 2025 class, Marshall Pritchett, the
What up?
busiest man in recruiting.
It's been crazy. I'm definitely happy it's on Denver a little bit here. I get some time to get to myself, and it's really just a good time to reevaluate all my options. And today I actually set a commitment date for March 23rd. So
Let's go.
Yeah, it's about to be a busy next couple of months. But like you said, man, I was all over. It was a busy winter.
So tell us what it's been like the second the season ends. I would imagine recruiting starts ramping up. The 24 class is kind of pushed along because they've all made their decisions, and now the focus is you guys. What's it been like, that rush of recruiting uptick since the season's been over?
Right, there was like a little bit of like a dead period after like the regular season, but once like most teams or just like not the college football playoffs, when they finish like the bowl season stuff, that's when it started getting hot. You started getting the paragraphs like like once signing day passed, like, hey, we're switching to 25s. But it's full go. A lot of these people, like, at the end of the day, it's their job to recruit, but it feels like sometimes some of these dudes text me more than their wives. So it's like, I got a lot of people to please, a lot of people to reply to, but it's all a blessing. But like just from my perspective, it's been a lot to take in, because when I grew up, I was in a football family, and my dad played at Notre Dame, and I always kind of dreamed of being in this position I'm in. So it's just like it's crazy seeing it really all unfold, and it's been a crazy journey for sure already. But yeah.
So what's that like? Obviously, having a father that is not just, he said, played at Notre Dame. It's a very humble way of saying it. Your father is a legend at Notre Dame. But what I want to ask you about that is, in this journey, when it does get a bit overwhelming, or it's like, man, I got a lot of coaches that, want my time. I'm also trying to work out, play 7-on-7, still got to go to school. But you have that someone in the house that's been through the same journey as you. What's it like on those days when maybe it does feel like it's a bit overwhelming, having someone that you can sit down with and talk to about it, who really can understand everything you're going through?
No, that's awesome. My dad, we've grown a lot closer kind of through this process. I probably talk to him twice a day on the phone. But a lot of coaches and people have said I have like a good head on my shoulders. And that's really just because of the support staff I have. Like my head coach, Coach Eric White, he's really helpful in all this. And, he's part of the reason why I'm, sitting in this chair today and on a podcast. He's helped tremendously. And then, like you said, having a dad that's been through it, even though it's definitely a different, day and age. Just college football's changed so much. But it's awesome. He can kind of see through the BS, and luckily I have friends in college football. So I kind of feel like I have like the most balanced approach to it, like someone can have. It's not just about the football. When I go and visit these schools, it's like you gotta think like, can I be comfortable here every day? A lot of people, they buy into all the stuff, the weight room, the facilities, all that. But you're in the facilities, and then you got to go live life. You got to go to class, all that.
I got to live here, man. Like I actually have to exist here for 3 to 4 years.
That was his thing at Notre Dame, that he loved his time playing football there. But freshman year, he comes in, he's redshirting. Sophomore year, or his true redshirt freshman year, he's not playing a lot. He was miserable. He wanted to leave. His dad wouldn't let him. So, he's trying to make sure that doesn't happen. So even if I get redshirted or something, life still goes on, and, I'm still living. So that's kind of been the main takeaway of, having him, is just, he's very good supporting me. And, my mom is too, but she's just not as educated in the field. But, he's been awesome. I'm very, very thankful for him.
Is that something he stressed that look, when you choose a school, don't just choose somewhere to play football, choose somewhere you'd like to be as well? Because I think you're right. Sometimes that gets overlooked. It's like, yeah, I like the coach, I like the offense. Sometimes it's superficial. I like jerseys. It's whatever it is that draws you there, right? That makes you feel like this is a place to be. But I think it is also important to go, okay, like, but what is my life like when the season's over? You know, do I actually want to live in this town
Yeah, I
for
mean,
the
yeah.
next 3 to 4 years?
Yeah, so his thing, his dad told him this when he was getting recruited. It's if you get hurt first day, how are you still going to be successful? Or where are you still going to have success in
Love
life?
that.
And like you kind of start hearing the 4 for 40 thing a lot more now. And that's kind of when I started differentiating my recruiting. I want to major in real estate or business. So I really started thinking
Nice.
like, what's the best place for me where a lot of kids get caught up in short-term wealth and what people offer up front, but my goal is long-term. I want to play in the NFL, and then the second football's over for me, I want to be able to jump in the work field and start doing my thing. But yeah, his thing was always where are you going to be most comfortable, and where's the most success going to come from from the second you step on campus for the rest of your life. And so I think that's why he chose Notre Dame, because I mean it's amazing
Smart.
school, but also great football program. So he's, yeah, like
Yes.
I said, been helping me tremendously with that. And, that's the biggest part for him that he's focused on, because he's not going to make the decision for me. Like at the end of the day, it's my decision, but
Yeah.
he helps kind of see through it and, make sure I'm thinking about the right things. And, we've had people talk about, the stuff that would excite a recruit. But, we kind of try and keep the main thing. And, yeah.
Keep you focused. I
Yeah.
like that. He can be that filter. He can be
Yep.
that, no, that's BS, that's BS, that's BS. Not making a decision for you, but just let you know, oh, ahead of time, that's BS.
Yeah.
That's BS. You don't sometimes you need that filter. So
Sure.
while we talk about a lot of these schools that are interested in you, and when we talk about schools that are interested in you, it's Power Five, SEC. In the comments, your school, he's got the offer.
Yeah.
There's a particular school I want to talk to you about. Took a visit to Miami. How was that? How was that visit? How was that experience? Obviously, getting on campus and getting to see not just the relationship with the staff, but actually getting again to see where I may live, how big the campus is. How was that visit for you?
So I got to come back. I got to come down in the fall. And I got to see the Georgia Tech game, but you don't really get a good look at campus. Like it's not
Yeah,
student life isn't popping as much because it's an 8 p.m. start time. So I didn't get to really see it. So I wanted to make sure it was one of my first visits in the winter. And I went the weekend of the 20th, and I mean I got there I think 8 a.m. We watched them work out. Got to see all the facilities. Beautiful. And then I got to walk around campus and see the life, because like I said earlier, at the end of the day, it's all about the people you're surrounded with. And yes, you're with the guys in the facilities, but you got to walk outside those doors and live your life. So yeah, I got to see all the great stuff. That campus is, you kind of call it's like a resort, but you're there to win football games. So it's, I could see how someone's mind could get easily distracted by the stuff that doesn't matter. But it was awesome. The staff definitely, the second I walked in the door, it was felt immediately. And, Coach Cristobal and all of them have done an amazing job recruiting me. I was talking to Coach Cristobal and Coach Woody Old 2 hours ago on FaceTime.
I love
And,
that.
the Monday I got back from the visit, Coach Cristobal's in my dorm room. They flew in to visit me. So that was, yeah, it's the
That
love is,
lets you know
yeah, I mean,
priority.
he knows how to recruit. But yeah, so I mean, it's been awesome. They've done a great job recruiting me, like I said. And going into decision day, I mean, they're at the very top. And I kind of see this thing really going down to the last day. So I want to try and make sure I can get down one more time before then. I talked to Coach Cristobal about that today, but that's my plan. I think they start spring ball March 4th. I might head down there, one of the earlier
That's a good
dates.
idea too. Get to see some spring practice.
Get to
That's a
see.
really
He
good
said,
idea.
get to see campus with students there. You just get to really see like a day in the life almost.
Get a better feel for it as
Yeah.
well. So, what was that? Do you remember your very first interaction with Cristobal? What was that like?
Funny story. So yeah, mine's got to be different than others. So we went up to meet him, and he looked at my dad and he was like, "Wes Pritchett," because they played against each other in the Catholics Convicts game.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a bit of a standoff.
That was hilarious. Like he had known who my dad was. I guess he was younger at the time. So, coach, he was an O lineman, but he was younger at the time. So I don't think he was playing much that game, but I'm sure they knew who he was. So they kind of bonded. He had a lot of respect for my dad. And, after we kind of stopped talking to him, he was like, it's funny. He was like, the Miami head coach respects me more than my alma mater does. So that was funny. But yeah, I mean, that was the first interaction I've had with him, and I've never had a bad one. He's the man. But he also, like I say, he keeps the main thing, and I've been able to really, dig deeper into him, and he's nice, great guy when it comes to recruiting. But you can tell, he's there to do what he wants to do. He wants to win. He wants to bring the program back, and that's evident when you talk to him that he's kind of got that mentality, and that fires my dad up. He's old school, so he doesn't. He doesn't
old school offensive lineman, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of mutual respect between the two of them, and then obviously I respect Coach Cristobal a lot. He's accomplished a lot. So,
and then you look at that offense with Coach Dawson and how much more open it's going to continue to be the more he gets entrenched in Miami. You, someone with the versatility you have, I would imagine Coach Dawson saw that film and his eyes popped out of his head. What's been those interactions like with Coach Shannon Dawson?
Yeah, so the whole staff in general, they kind of, they've had the Will Mallorys, the Brevin Jordans, Shockey, Graham. But, recently, especially with the guys they had this year, it's kind of more overloaded, big personnel. And, Coach Dawson and Coach Woodiel, their philosophy is like they're going to use their strengths. And, personnel's now kind of the chess pieces of football. It's what creates the best matchups. And, it's hard to put on paper the production they had with tight ends this year because it wasn't great. But there's a lot of factors you can't really control with, injuries and stuff like that. But they kind of, when they, look at me, they kind of pull up the Will Mallory film from his last year. Just a dude who can stretch the field. Will Mallory's a very good athlete too. So they found ways to get him the ball in the flat and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, at tight end, it's about building your resume. You don't want to be a one-trick pony. You gotta mature and man up interiorly, and so that's kind of their thing. It was like, look, I mean, I don't really play tight end. I'm kind of a flex guy now.
Yeah.
But their thing now has kind of been like, look, you're gonna have to really mature in the run game, and all that's gonna do for you is just increase your draft stock, and all that's gonna do is just project you more as a real tight end. So that was kind of their thing. It was like, I'm gonna definitely, I know I have room to mature. I got a frame I got to grow into and all that, but they think. Matchup wise, with another good tight end out of 12 personnel, we could create a lot of magic stuff could happen.
I know. As I was gonna say, I know Dawson was probably like, "Look, we need to get you more comfortable in line." But then there was a but. The things I can do moving you around in this offense, creating mismatches, is something that cannot be overstated. Somebody with your skill set, too physical for most DBs, too big and physical for them, too quick for linebackers. It's you flexing you out just creates a problem, and it opens things up for the guys on the outside too. You start eating in the middle of the field, and then the defensive coordinator has to either commit a nickel or a safety to you, which opens it up for everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, 12 personnel's. I don't want to say it's taken over football, but it's not blown out. It's the teams
a little bit. It's taking over a little bit.
Yeah, teams that are doing it, they're succeeding. And I think it's gonna, it's a cop. At the end of the day, college football and the NFL, it's a copy and paste league. There's only so much you can do in football, and I think people are realizing the power of that because, like you said, if you got a guy who can do it all, and then you got a guy who can shut the run down and he can protect that front, then you're looking at, unlimited possibilities vertically. In the flats, there's just so much you have to account for. And then you can push him out wide. He's lined up on a 180-pound nickel. You can throw a screen. You know what I mean? It's endless possibilities. And I think
throw a slant, that nickel has not a chance in hell.
Really, but like that, I think that's why my recruitment is in the place it's in now. And I think it's because a lot of teams are starting to realize, the importance of a bigger guy who obviously has room to grow, but it's all about projecting specifically at the tight end position.
Yes.
And I think a lot of teams are starting to realize, like, you got to have guys like this. They're game changers, and across all levels. Travis Kelce, for example, all those dudes, they're game changing because of what they bring to the receiving game, but they're good enough in the run game where you don't have to take them off the field. So they don't think you're just
Yep. You become
yeah,
a well-rounded player this way. You're not someone the defense can key on.
yeah. I mean,
Marshall's on the
Kyle
field. We don't
Pitts,
know what they're doing. We just know that we're in trouble, but we don't know
yeah,
how
there's not a
exactly.
lot you can game plan for when it comes to that.
And for those of you wondering, what exactly, I may not have seen this tape. What do you mean you can't game plan? I will show you why you can't game plan for
Let's
somebody
check it
like
out.
this. I will show you. So, as someone that does have the versatility, do you have a favorite way you're used? Because one of my favorite ways is obviously in the red zone.
That's
Absolute
right here,
matchup nightmare in the
right
red zone.
here, right here.
Fade balls.
Yeah. And weirdly, our offense didn't. I mean, this was the only one I got all season in the red zone. I had to go
Hey,
get
we got to
that.
get more of these next
Yeah,
year.
I don't know what's going on. I like that. That's my thing right there. So I'll have to talk to the OC about that for sure.
Do you have a favorite route you like to run? Like when that's
Yeah,
called, you're like,
right here,
I'm about to tear them up.
stretch the field, baby. I love it.
And then for a guy with your size, your route running too, really crisp. Who do you attribute that to? Because your skills as a route runner are very more like a receiver. You're smooth, explosive out of your breaks, but your route running is precise as well. Who do you attribute like those solid fundamentals to? Like, so we see it here.
Yeah. I mean, I give all my credit to lacrosse. Weirdly,
Really?
I played
That's
lacrosse my whole
interesting.
life. I've always been a good lacrosse player. I've got my All American shirt on under this. I was a Nike All American, but yeah, I mean that helped me tremendously. I made the switch to receiver last summer in June. Got to my school in July and had a lot to learn, but it was all there. It felt like, and I've grown tremendously since. But if you think about lacrosse, it's the same kind of goal. It's maintain leverage. Make them think you're going somewhere you're not. Step on toes, head fake. All that stuff. And I've been
That's
doing that
so
for
interesting.
12 years. Yeah. And, you look across Georgia, for example, I was there this weekend. All four of their tight ends right now in their room were all real high level lacrosse players. And,
Really?
yeah, Miami's got a tight end, Jackson Carver, who he was committed to Notre Dame
Huge.
lacrosse. So you kind of look across the board. There's a lot more tight ends out there that are, kind of done what I've done on the lacrosse field. But I think it's game changing for me. It's helped me.
That is fascinating, bro.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So, next play up here, one of the things I love about your film too is for a dude that is that dynamic on the outside, you would think, oh, well, they probably call him a jumbo receiver because they just flex him out a lot and they probably think you don't block. Bro, you
Yeah.
get it in out there.
Yeah. Hey, it's a mindset. It's all about will.
For you as a jumbo receiver, as a tight end, how important is it to stress being as good, as physical, like we're seeing here, as a blocker, just as smooth as you are as a route runner, just as nasty as you are off the line?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about tone. It's a grown man game. My dad always says, and I knew I had to take another level to my blocking game, and I busted my ass all off season for a reason. And once I realized I could do these little boys like this, I just decided it was going to become a regular. So I mean, you can see here, kid flips his hips. I set it up perfectly. He flips his hips and he starts leaning back on his heels. It's over. And once I kind of started to get the rhythm, once you get in their cushion and they sink back a little bit or they flip their hips, that they're dead man. And kind of realize I got to start doing that more. It just sets the tone.
Setting them up a little bit. And I know for you, once they do flex you out and you do have to block a safety, even an outside linebacker or a bigger corner, I know you're thinking, dude, I got to deal with a defensive end most of the time.
Yeah, no, this game
I get to block you.
The kid he's in there somewhere on this play. He's a 5-star D end. I was kicking him out the whole game. So yeah.
When do you feel like in your game dominating blocking became just as enjoyable as the goal line fade?
I honestly is when I realized like how I realized what I could do. Like, you realize it's at the end of the day, it's high school football. Like, not everyone's going to be as big as me. And, I have a little bit of an advantage, but, I remember seeing a George Pickens clip when they played Michigan 2020, when he looks at the sideline, and I watched his footwork. It was 3 steps, they flipped and he shoved. And I started doing that last year, got my feet wet a little bit. And then this year I realized, with the way I was being used vertically, that there's no way that they could stop me from doing that. So I started kind of realizing I kind of had a little mindset shift. And, I knew it would help with recruiting, and I don't want people to have, any buts or whys, like, can he block? I don't want that to be in question. So I kind of decided, like, look, I gotta put it all out there on film. And, at the end of the day, blocking's all effort. And, I want to make sure I have that on every play. So, there's a lot of good blocks in there where, I don't get them all the way down, but, setting an edge and stuff like that.
Getting the job done still. Another thing,
Done.
your catch radius. The reason I love it is because it allows your quarterback to not have to be perfect all the time, but trust that if I put it anywhere in this general area, I know 7's coming down with it. Speak to how important that is to sometimes bail your quarterback out when he may need to get rid of the ball quicker and everything is not going to be pretty right on the numbers.
Yeah, it's a trust thing. Like, you can see here, I'm not necessarily open, but me and my QB, we haven't had many instances where, we've been stopped just because I've had, like, a guy on me or, a guy chasing me on my back. So I think it just kind of goes back to, the reps and the success we've had. I think he just kind of knows he can put it out there. And we've had a lot of contested catches and stuff like that go through. So I think he, like I said, he kind of realized that, and he knew at the end of the day, like, if everybody's covered, he can kind of just, put it where I can get it. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean the other kid can't, but, I like my odds here when I'm one-on-one. So he kind of knows that too.
When you are one-on-one like this on the outside, do you feel like sometimes these DBs, these corners get shocked by how quick you are off the
Yeah,
line?
you can kind of see it right here. This kid's a
You,
fourth.
you can see it. I think he had a moment where he's thinking tight end out here, maybe sitting on his heels a little bit, and then you hit him with a razzle dazzle off the line, and before he knows it,
well, look,
he's got to get on it.
Yeah, I played 7-on-7 with this kid. It says UNC commit. He runs a 4.3, but if you rewind it, I knew he's fast. But look, I get him to freeze twice, so it's like a little setup. So boom freezes, and then I knew I had him.
Yeah.
Once I had him by a step, it was just perfect timing by the QB. But
you got separation.
That's film right there. Like, I knew he was fast, but he didn't play hands on, and so I knew if I just froze him and got him to the same level as me, if I had a step or two, I could take off on him. So I did.
How much has film study become a part of your game and helped you evolve as a player?
Yeah, I mean, going back to my dad, that's game changing. A lot of, not this game in particular, but there are games where that stuff matters, especially when I started getting involved interiorly more. I mean, there's just stuff you got to know. There's habits. When it comes to the blocking thing, I looked at a lot. Is this kid going to keep playing if it's away from the play? Like, what are his tendencies? And that helped me a lot when, I was in the slot and it was a runaway and I had to cut off. It was like, all right, he's just going to chase the ball. So I knew immediately get inside of him. And, we had dynamic backs that kind of ran all around. But, like, it's just, this play right here is it's a yardage route. I'm supposed to break this at 12, but I think I break it a little deeper because I knew I had to get behind the corner here. And yeah, I mean, it's all,
love that.
At the end of the day, it's football. There's not a lot of advantages at the high school level, I feel like, but if you're willing to watch film and, put on the stuff off the field, that's what can kind of take your game to the next level. And, I learned that from my days at my old high school playing quarterback. It's important. It's part of the game, and it's, there's a reason the pros do it.
You feel like playing quarterback has helped you as well, that receiver has helped you understand how to get open and what maybe your quarterback needs from you?
Yeah, definitely. I think the most important thing I learned from doing that was that, it's just don't get in the quarterback's ear, and, not everyone's perfect.
Oh, he loves you. Your quarterback loves you. There.
Yeah, but there's times where I felt I was open, but playing quarterback, like you said, is huge because I mean, dude, people don't understand how hard it is to read. You know, you got to read four guys, and you got five guys coming at you. It's such a quick game, and my first year at quarterback, I was such a raw prospect. Like I had no footwork, my drops, it was all just scramble drill. So in the off season, I ended up grinding, footwork and stuff like that, and I basically did all of it for no reason because I switched to receiver that season. But I kind of dialed my game in a little too late. But yeah, it's definitely important. You kind of just realize like the little things. Don't give your quarterback an earful when he makes a bad read, stuff like that. It's important because at the end of the day, your quarterback's he's supposed to game manage. He's leading the ship, and you don't want there to be any reason for him to perform poorly. So I kind of learned little stuff like that.
And it seems like you and your quarterback have tremendous chemistry together. I gotta let you give this man a shout out here because it really does seem like you guys are very much in sync. Like you said, you broke that route off. He didn't think twice about it. He didn't underthrow it. He almost knew you were going to find green grass. Speak to that relationship you've got with your quarterback.
Yeah, that's my boy Gavin Owens, big lefty kid. He's got a bunch of offers. But yeah, man, he's a beast. When I came here, I learned immediately. He loves to chuck it deep. And last year, we had struggles interiorly O line, so we did a lot of throwing it deep, and I think that's when we built the chemistry and kind of the basic formula that gave us success. But I mean, you can look right here. He just knows I'm going to get open. Like when he throws it, I think I'm just stopping my feet. But it just goes, it's trust. Like at the end of the day, he's a great player, and so am I. And I think he just kind of knows, like, you got to have trust in your receivers. And we had a lot of receivers who were really successful, but you can look here. I did what I had to do. So I think we just kind of had a level of trust where he knew I could get open and do my thing.
I like that trust. Obviously, it you need that from the pass catcher, but from the quarterback as well. Like we talked about earlier on the slant, he knew you weren't necessarily open, but he also trusted. Yeah, but if I put this thing up,
Yeah,
I think Marshall won't do me no harm. It's
yeah,
not
for
going to
sure.
get picked. He'll either catch it or it's 2nd and 10. That
Yeah, I
that
played
trust
defense.
obviously builds over time.
Yes, sir, definitely.
So for you as a route runner, as a receiver, is there a receiver or a tight end you like to watch and study to take from and pull little tidbits from to help evolve you as a player?
Yeah, like I said, I grew up. I'm just a football head. Like my whole life has just been all about football. Like I know all the little
Love
facts and
it.
stuff in the NFL. So, Tony Gonzalez initially was kind of my guy. Growing up a Falcons fan, and then Kyle Pitts, kind of when I discovered him in college. Dude,
That boy bad.
dynamic, absolute weapon. You know what I mean? I liked how he was being used. And then Travis Kelsey too. Obviously, can't forget him. But, just kind of seeing the comfort and the success those dudes have had, and they're not necessarily, your basic, OG tight end. You know what I mean? But seeing that they had the success they've had, those are some of the two highest paid tight ends in the country. You know what I mean? So
Game
once
changers.
the tight end, allegations started coming because it's all projection. When they started coming, some kids they run from it, they think it's an insult, but dude, if I get to run routes on, safeties and linebackers instead of freaking 6'4" long arm DBs, I'm good. You know what I mean? So
I
just
I,
just
I want to say I think the 6'4" long arm DBs are happy that you're playing tight end now because this happens when they split you out.
yeah.
You're a bully when it comes to blocking, bro. It's
Yeah, and
it's not
it's
just a
funny.
want to thing. It's a
Yeah.
punishment thing for you.
I don't know if you can see it here, but his boys are in this corner filming, and they were saying all the trying to trash talk me, and I just looked at them. Look, I just looked at them.
How much has that become more and more something you've had to deal with? The more obviously the star rises, the name rises, the more offers come in. How much of now you're not just Marshall, you're 4-star tight end Marshall Pritchett. How has that changed not just the way you've approached the game, but some of the nonsense you've had to deal with from opponents as well?
Yeah, I mean, luckily I play on a squad with, we got a bunch of guys who are P5 guys and big offered guys, but Just because I've kind of been through it all. I wasn't always, a big name recruit. I was at the bottom, kind of looking up. Um, I know what it's like to, talk trash to a kid who's, rated high and stuff like that. But it honestly, at the end of the day, I kind of see pressure as privilege.
I
And
love it.
just being in a position where I'm having that happen, it's honestly all just a blessing. I've done a great job not letting it get to me. Honestly,
Love that.
I kind of have an approach to football. Like, I talked about it earlier when it comes to visiting. Like, it's not the only thing in my life. And everybody has bad games. I try not to let that stuff, depict me because it's not really who I am at the end of the day. I'm still myself. And I don't really let that stuff get to me. The social medias, bar stools, all that, that's to me, that's kind of a non-factor.
It's all noise. So
Yeah.
for you, on those hard days, bro, when it's body sore,
Yeah.
tired, but you got to wake up, got to go to school, got to get the work in. What is it that keeps you moving? What's that inner drive that on those days when you're running on E kickstarts you and you can still get all the work done you need to get done?
I mean, it's really just, like I said, I've kind of been through it all, but it's looking back on the kid that did the same thing. I used to get up for 7 a.m. workouts back home and, hope for a D2 offer, get up to bust my ass and work out, to a smaller school. And, at the end of the day, it's kind of just, I know I have to do it now. And, the school I'm at now is a college preparatory school. And it's because, when I get to college, I'm not going to be able to run from that. Like at the end of the
Yeah.
day, that's routine. Like that's part of my life for the next 4 years. And by the time I graduate here, I'll be doing 3 years of it. So it's kind of that's the kind of thing, and it's the same thing with late, like being late. I try and be on time to everything I do because that's the standard you're held to in college. So
I
that's what
love
really
that.
motivates me. It's like, look, this is going to be part of my life, forever until the cleats hang up, and I might as well create the habits now where I'm just doing all the things I can to make sure I'm not in trouble. I want to be on my good side. So
I love that, man. And another thing I wanted to ask you about recruiting. You mentioned earlier you recently at Georgia.
yeah,
Great history of tight ends there. One of them going to the draft this
yeah.
year, Bowers, absolute monster. But you were down there for junior day. How was that?
It was awesome. Coach Hartley, who's the tight end coach, like you said, tremendous job. He's recruited a lot of kids like me, big, more receiver like guys coming out of high school, lacrosse players. Um,
That
and
connection is crazy.
yeah, he's kept it as real with me with recruitment. Like, he's not a guy who, he's not cutting it short. He's going to tell you, he doesn't sugarcoat anything. So he's been so transparent with me when he's recruited me. Like, look, this is how you're going to use me. You're going to come in, you're going to be in a room with dogs. You're going to have to work your way to the top. And we were sitting in the meeting room, with all the staff, and they were talking about, there's 5-star that's there and stuff. And, he was talking about Matt Stafford, for example. And he was like, Matt, we got 3 quarterbacks who are top of their class, waiting in that QB room. And, like, are you scared of the competition? And Matt Stafford was like, I don't care. Like, I'm coming in there to work. And, that's kind of the way I look at it. Like, anywhere I go, there's going to be dogs in front of me, and transfer portal wise, like, your spot's never safe. But, I'm going to come in and give it all I got because I'm there for 4 years. You can either, sink to the bottom or rise to the top. And I'm going to, it doesn't matter where I am or who's in front of me. I'm going to give them all I got. And, that kind of just goes without saying. That's my dad. My dad always says I can't come. I'm soft. So
I love that. Oh,
yeah,
I love that. You think a little bit of that too is you had a different chip on your shoulder earlier when, not as highly recruited at the start of your journey. You think that that also is what helps you kind of have a bit more of a mature outlook on recruiting, a bit more of a when you attack recruiting, it's very much not superficial. Like
yeah,
even before we started recording, we were talking about it's very not business in the sense that you're not having fun because you're clearly having fun as well. But
yeah.
you think you don't take these things for granted because earlier you were the guy busting his ass just trying to get a D2 offer?
Yeah, I mean, nah, like you said, just being on the journey I've been on, and I've put my blood, sweat, and tears into football, lacrosse, and basketball. But coming from a small school in Charleston, South Carolina, it was not a highly known school. I can tell the coaches now where I went, and they don't even know where it was.
That's
Um,
crazy.
but, I was doing the same work. I mean, I was getting after it every day. And, it's just you see it from a different perspective because I lived it.
Yep.
And, yeah, I mean, it's just go. I always just try and go back to that kid, and I always look back at my old highlights and stuff like that just to reminisce on, the way I projected myself when no one else was really doing it. You know what I mean? There were prep red zone articles all the time, saying I was D1 FCS talent. Still, and no diss at all to FCS because there are dogs there, but I've overshot projections, since I started high school, and that's kind of the way I look at recruiting. It's like, I value relationships more than anything, and some of these schools took a shot at me really early, and I think that also plays a huge factor because it's like,
Yep.
UGA said on my visit, and this is no diss to them because I love UGA, but they were like, we watched your sophomore tape, and we kind of saw a kid who might get it. He might take it to the next level. And then he said he turns my junior tape on, and twitchier, more aggressive, just all around. Like, I just upgraded as a player.
See the evolution.
Yeah, but then there's the teams that didn't give a damn. Like they were recruiting last year when I was still a little puppy. You know what I mean?
And that matters.
Yeah, it does matter, definitely, because like I said, I'm a relationship guy, and when it comes to decision day, I remember everything. And there are a couple schools that still haven't offered me that I remember what they said at camp. I'm not going to say any names, but I had an ACC school who hopefully I play that literally straight up told me that they don't think I'm good enough to play there. And I'm not going to say any names, but that's been such.
We will show them. You will show them.
I went to 12 camps before I ever got an offer.
Really?
So I was doing everything I got. I gave it all I got, and I kept doing that this summer, even when I had offers, just because like I said, I've kept the main thing, and I didn't move away from my family and come to this school to half buy into this shit. Sorry for sorry.
Yep. No, you're good.
I came here to give it my all, and
I love that though.
I try and bring it every day. I consider myself a leader because I've had leaders, I've had captains, that have had an impact on me, and I know how it can feel to an underclassman for a kid to believe in him. I had this one kid who, he was a senior. I was in 8th grade practicing with the varsity, after JV ended. And, he used to always compliment me. And I was I was so little, just really hadn't accomplished anything yet. But him believing in me just from the jump, that pushed me, in times when, I didn't really think it was going to work out. And it's honestly just been so wild looking back. And I'm really a guy, I don't forget anything. Like, I'm telling you, there are people that will repost my offers now, and I won't like it because I remember everything people say. Like, I promise you, some of these coaches, like, they're gonna feel me. They're gonna feel me in 2-3 years. Yeah.
I love that.
I promise
I
you.
love that though.
Yeah. No,
don't lose that.
Yeah.
That I understand why Mario likes you now. I see why he loves you.
I mean, he's bro.
Yes, I under that statement you just made. I was like, okay, that's why Mario loves him. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. He had a 10-minute conversation with you and it's probably like, all right, I found my tight end.
Yeah, and that
get Waddle in here, get Dennis in here. I found my guy.
That's but a lot of schools. I think the reason I'm getting recruited so hard by some of these schools is, I think they just kind of like it the way, I approach the situation, because I know, I don't want to, put too much light on myself, but I feel like I go about it pretty mature. And,
yes, you do.
NCAA football is a business. Like, you're not guaranteed 4 years there. There are kids coming for your spot. How many times have you seen a walk-on kid ends up being a Hall of Famer or Pro Bowler? So, complacency is, that's killer. Like, that kills people's careers. It kills confidence. And my goal has always been, I bring it every day, like, bring the juice. Like I said earlier, I didn't come here to half buy in. Every time I step out on that field, it's a blessing. And I try and bring it every day. I just truly love football. Like, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I think that's why I've had so much success. It's like, I'm willing to do anything, to go catch balls or go run routes. Like, this really, it's my life. And I've pushed all my chips in, and that's kind of the way I look at it. Like, I didn't come here to, go to one
Just
at
be
6 a.m.
here.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I came here as a nobody. I was kind of at the bottom, and I've done my best job to rise to the top, and that's kind of the way I just look at life. Like, you know what I mean? You're going to be uncomfortable in situations, and when I go to college, I'm going to be back at the bottom. But I've been at the bottom plenty of times where it's not going to matter to me.
I was gonna say battle tested at this point. So when
Yeah,
you walk into that locker room, when you walk into your first college locker room for your first practice, and someone says, "Well, you're gonna have to earn it," you're gonna look at them and go, "Yeah, I know. That's why I came here. I came
yeah,
here to earn it. I've been earning it for the past 4 years. There was
yeah,
never no doubt that I was gonna earn it." That
literally.
that and your mindset, bro. Whether it's football, whether it's business, whether it's selling homes, that's why you're going to be successful because of that mindset.
Yeah, you
Because
just
no matter what it is, you put your focus into it. And like you said, you don't do something just to do it.
yeah,
Even making the sacrifice you made to be at the school you are, you don't take that for granted. Even after being 4-star tight end, you
yeah,
still don't take that for granted.
sir.
That that's why you don't have free time on the weekends. That's why every school in America wants a piece. And I can guarantee you, I speak for Canes fans and I speak for Georgia fans, Georgia Tech, North Carolina. That's why they all want you, the staff and the fans. It's that intangible leadership. It's that ability to look outside yourself too and see team. We start watching your film, you start talking about other receivers, your quarterback,
Yes,
your
sir.
coach. That's championship mentality. Cristobal always says you can't win championships without championship talent. And it's not just championship talent on the field. You got to have it off the field
Gotta-
in the locker room as well.
Yeah, it's character. Like he's told me before when he came in, like it was rotten. Like that team,
Yes.
the culture was rotten to its core. Nobody was focused on the right thing. There was no team, no culture. I mean, and even though they didn't finish with the best year this year, dude, they're bought in. Like
You
it's
can tell. It's
tight.
different.
And I've seen not just Coach Cristobal, but other cultures do it. I mean, the second you step foot in the door, with recruiters, all that stuff, you can tell. Like what's it like? Are they a family? You can see stuff like that. And when I go to Miami, it's like, bro, like they're wired. Like these dudes, they're having fun, but they're executing. Like they're busting their ass. Like I was seeing dudes like laughing in between sprints. And it's
Having fun.
good to have fun with it, but then the same dudes would line up and do what they had to do. And I think that kind of
I
speaks to
love
the way
that.
the culture around. I mean, he's done an incredible job. He's a winner, and he also is a hell of a recruiter. So you put those two things
That
together, and then you got a culture that buys in. You got a collective that buys in. You got all that stuff. It's big time, and I think that's why they're going to have success.
I think I speak for all of us when I say we hope you are a part of that success. But wherever it is that you go, you will be successful. And we are watching. Let them know where they can follow you on Instagram and Twitter. And I will link those down in the description and his huddle so that you can keep up with his huddle next season, because next season is going to be even more impressive than this one. And after your senior season, we're coming back on here so we can watch your
For
senior
sure.
season and we can see the evolution again. But let them know where they can follow you.
Instagram is at Marshall Pritchett, MarshallPritchett. Twitter's at Marshall Pritch. TikTok, Marshall Pritchett. You're pretty active on all three of those. So, hit me
And
with a
I'll
follow.
link all those down here so you can go follow him. Trust me, this is not a recruit you are not going to want to keep up with. And he's only going to have a more explosive senior season. So you're going to want to tap into that. Bro, thank you so much for coming on. Like I
Problem.
said, I cannot wait to see you light it up this year. And obviously excited for the announcement. I'll be pulling up, hoping, for good news. But regardless of where you choose, you got our support. You got my support, bro.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, my guy.
Like, share, and subscribe. Go follow Marshall right now. Click
All
off the
right.
video. Go follow Marshall right now. We out.